think you're studying hard. You sit for hours, books open, notes everywhere, highlighter in hand. But here's the truth no one tells you. Most of that effort is wasted. And that's why you fail. Not because you're lazy, not because you're dumb, but because the way you're studying is setting you up to lose. Now stop for a moment and be honest with yourself. Do you really feel like all the time you spend studying is paying off? Or do you catch yourself rereading the same page, zoning out, pretending to work hard, while deep down you know you're stuck in a cycle that looks productive but gets you nowhere? That's the trap. That's the hidden reason why you keep failing, even when it feels like you're doing everything right. And this matters, because the world isn't going to reward you for how many hours you sit at a desk. The world rewards results. Exams don't care if you studied for 10 minutes or 10 hours. Life doesn't care how many late nights you pull. What matters is whether the effort you put in actually works. And most students never figure that out. They think grinding harder will save them, but it won't. Grinding in the wrong way only makes you tired, stressed, and burnt out. So today, let's talk about why you fail even when you think you're working hard and how to fix it. Because if you understand this, everything changes. Studying won't feel like endless punishment anymore. It will become sharp, focused, and powerful. Let's get into it. First, you confuse activity with progress. Sitting at a desk for 5 hours doesn't mean you've studied for 5 hours. Scrolling through notes, highlighting random lines, rewriting things you already know, none of that means you're moving forward. It feels good, it feels safe, but it's fake progress. Real progress happens when you push your brain into the uncomfortable zone. When you test yourself. When you try to recall answers without looking. When you actually struggle. Struggle is where growth lives. If you leave a study session without ever feeling uncomfortable, you didn't study, you just performed the ritual of studying. Think of it like going to the gym and lifting the lightest weight because it feels easy. You leave sweaty, but stronger? Not at all. The same is true for your mind. Second, you chase motivation instead of building discipline. Let's be real, most of the time you don't feel like studying. You wait for that perfect moment when you're in the mood. But that moment never lasts. Motivation is a liar. It shows up when you feel good and it disappears the second things get hard. And if you're relying on it, you're doomed. Winners don't depend on motivation. They build systems. They sit down to work whether they feel like it or not. They train themselves to act, not to wait. Imagine if every soldier or athlete waited until they felt like it. Nothing would get done. Discipline is your weapon. Discipline means your goals decide, not your feelings. Third, you don't know how to focus. You think you're studying, but half your attention is on your phone or on the music blasting in your ears or on the random thoughts running through your head. And then you wonder why nothing sticks. Focus is rare today. Your brain is under attack every second by distractions. And the scary thing, you've trained yourself to be addicted to them. Every notification, every scroll, every quick dopamine hit has rewired your brain to crave stimulation. So when you finally sit down to study, silence feels painful. You can't sit still. But here's the truth. The ability to focus deeply, even for just 30 minutes, is more powerful than 6 hours of distracted study. Put your phone in another room. Eliminate every excuse. Give your brain the gift of silence. That's when learning happens. Fourth, you quit too early. Success in studying, just like in life, comes down to persistence. But most people give up the second they hit resistance. They read a hard chapter and think, I don't get this, I must be bad at it. They attempt a problem, fail once, and walk away. But failure isn't the end, it's the doorway. Struggle is the signal that you're on the edge of growth. Think about it. The first time you ride a bike, you fall. The first time you try to swim, you sink. But you don't stop, you push through. Why? Because you expect it to be hard. But with studying, you expect it to be easy. And the second it's not, you quit. That's why you fail. Not because you're incapable, but because you give up before the breakthrough. Now listen carefully. If you've been failing, it doesn't mean you're broken. it doesn't mean you can't do it. It means you've been lied to about what hard work really is. You've been trained to confuse time with effort, motivation with discipline, distraction with focus, and struggle with failure. And as long as you live inside those lies, no amount of grinding will save you. But once you see the truth, everything changes. Real studying is not about looking busy. It's about testing yourself, struggling, failing, and learning. Real success is not about waiting to feel inspired. It's about building discipline. Real focus is not about forcing yourself for hours. It's about cutting distractions for a short, intense burst. Real growth is not about avoiding pain. It's about leaning into it again and again. So next time you sit down to study, remember this. It's not about how long you sit. It's about how deep you go. It's not about how motivated you feel. It's about whether you show up anyway. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about whether you get back up. That's what separates failure from success. That's what turns studying hard into studying smart. Now I want you to think about this. Where have you been lying to yourself? Where have you been pretending that effort equals results? What distractions have been stealing your focus? And how many times have you quit right before the breakthrough? Answer those questions honestly, and you'll know exactly what's been holding you back. If this message hit you, don't just move on. Reflect on it. Share in the comments what part of this spoke to you the most. Because when you put your thoughts into words, they stick. And if you want more truth like this, more lessons that cut through the noise, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You think you're studying hard, but now you know the real reason you've been failing. And the choice is yours. Keep lying to yourself or face the truth and rise. The next move is in your hands.